So here we are again. So I'm into the recipes in Ruby, and I can see on the left-hand side here, like I've got a list of ingredients here. I've got the method down underneath it. So there's some stuff's going to be fairly easy for you, and some of it's going to be a little bit of work. And it's not hard work; it's just a little bit of work. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start filling this thing in. I'm going to say chocolate chip cookies, right? And I'm going to put my name in there. Okay. And back. And my recipe source is going to be Ruby. And then I'm going to start popping my ingredients in here. So I can say unsalted butter. And then I'm just going to keep going down. So I'm going to say white sugar. Vanilla extract. Egg. Notice that I'm not putting the quantities in here, okay? Yet. And I'm going to tell you why. All-purpose flour. Baking soda, salt, or fleur de sel. Fleur de sel is just a fancy salt. And then brown sugar and chocolate chips. All right, so. Second here, let some people into the meeting because they're late. All right, so I've got my ingredients all popped in here that are from over here, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in how it's measured. That's what this column is for, okay? I'm not putting in how it's measured over here. So if you look here, it'll say 3/4 of a cup. So what I'm going to put in here is I'm going to put in cup. Okay, because that is how it's measured. You measure things 3 ways in the kitchen. It's either by volume, which would be like cups, or by milliliters, and then there's also weight, which would be in grams or kilograms or pounds or ounces, and then there's also count, okay, which would be like one each or one whole or something like that. So you'll see as we go along here how this is going to come together. Right, so I need cups for white sugar. I need teaspoons for vanilla extract. I need, okay, so now I get down to my whole egg, right? So this is by count. So I'm going to go whole. So now it says whole egg, right? And I'm going to say each, or you could say whole, whatever you want for your egg yolk. Again, it's by count. Okay. Flour, I'm going to go cups. Baking soda, I'm going to go teaspoon. Remember, it's either TSP or a small t, one of the two. I find that it's best just to copy right from the recipe right into the standardized recipe form. So whatever it says over there, you do the same thing over here. Okay, so teaspoon there, and again cup, and again another cup. Now, up here, it says servings across the top here. So I'm taking a look here and I'm going, this serves 2 dozen. So I'm going to put in 2 dozen. Okay? Or, sorry, I'm going to put dozen here. Okay? And here, I can put 2. Okay? Either way is going to work for you. Okay? And I'm going to put dozen here. And I'm going to put dozen here. Now, this is because I'm making individual cookies. If I was making, say, for instance, chicken breasts, I would say servings, I would just go like 1 here, 4, and 6, right? So there are different kinds of servings, serving sizes. I don't know if I explained that properly. So if I've got 2 dozen here, maybe I'm going to say I want 4 dozen here, and maybe I want 6 dozen here. Let's start with the original amount here, okay? So I can see that I've got cups, unsalted butter. I'm looking over here, and I know that I need to put in 3/4 of a cup. Okay, and then I'm going to keep going down. So I need a 1/2 cup here, right? And I need 2 teaspoons here. I need 1 whole egg here. I need 1 yolk here. I need 2 cups of flour. I need a 1/2 of a teaspoon. I need a 1/2 of a teaspoon again. I need 3/4 of a cup. And I need, now this says 1 to 2 cups, depending on, I guess, how chocolatey you like it. I'm just going to start with 1. All right, so if I take a look here now, I've got my entire recipe popped in there as far as quantities, volumes, and ingredients. Over here, I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy this. Just like that. And I can go in here and I can paste it. Now, just like that, I've got my entire method into my standardized recipe form. Pretty easy. Down here, I'm going to pop in my oven temperature. I know from reading right here, it needs to be 325 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit. So I'm going to put 325 Fahrenheit. Now, cooking time. This comes straight down here. I'm going to read through my recipe, and it's going to say 13 to 15 minutes. Okay. There is no indicator for an internal food temperature for this, but if I was cooking chicken, it would definitely maybe give me an internal cooking temperature of 165 degrees. But you can see here, bake the cookies in 13 to 15 minutes or until the edges turn a light golden color. So that is my indicator of correct cooking. So edges of cookie turn light golden brown. Okay. Now I'm going to take a look through here, see if there's anything else that I can add in. My tools and equipment. If I'm looking through here, I can see melt the butter, allow it to come to room temperature using a large bowl, cream together the sugar, the brown sugar, the sugar and the butter on high speed. So maybe I'm definitely going to need a large bowl, right? And then there's a little bit of interpretation here. I know that we made cookies here, so maybe I'm going to need a spatula. Okay. Now, let's see here. It's going to say, next add the vanilla extract, blah, 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 sift the flour. Okay, so I'm going to need a sifter. I'm going to keep going. Stir in the salt, add the dry ingredients, mix on low until everything's incorporated. Okay, I can do that with my spatula, or I can use an electric one if I wanted to. Okay, line a baking tray with parchment paper. Okay, so I'm going to need parchment. And I'm going to need a baking tray. Right. So I'm just looking at all the different things that I'm going to need in the recipe here. Right. Or non-stick spray, so I could use that if I wanted to. I'm going to need a large soup spoon for portioning. And I can see that I'm not going to need anything else really besides that. Okay. Now I come down to here, and it says, after a few minutes, I'm going to transfer them onto a cooling rack. So I'm going to need a cooling rack. All right. So now I've got all of my equipment that I need in there. Now the next thing you're going to need to do is you need to extend it. So I need to be able to take this sort of thing and turn it into this. So if I'm going to take 2 dozen cookies, I need to make 4 dozen cookies. All I need to do is double it. Okay? So if I need to multiply fractions, there's a couple of different ways that you can go about doing this. You can turn them into a decimal point. And if I want to turn it into a decimal point, all I need to do is divide 3 by 4, and I would get 0.75. Okay, so that's my top number divided by my bottom number. and I would get, so that would turn out to be 0.75 of a cup, or 3/4 of a cup. Remember when we talked about quarters, pulling quarters out of your pocket, looking at them like dimes and nickels and quarters and change? That's a good way to look at your fractions. So if I need 3/4 times 2, I know that that's 1 1/2 cup. Okay, I'm going to multiply this times 2, and it's 1 cup. I'm going to multiply this times 2, and it's 4. That times 2 is 2. That times 2 is 2. That times 2 is 4. That times 2 is 1. That times 2 is 1. That times 2 is 1 1/2. And that times 2 is 2. Now I can go to 6, so I would multiply it times 3, and I would go through it. And then all of a sudden, I've got a complete standardized recipe form ready for anybody to come and take a look at it and go, okay, I need to make 4 dozen cookies. I don't need to do the conversions anymore. Somebody's already done it for me. Somebody's already laid out all of the equipment that I need, and there's everything that I need to know about this recipe. Okay. That's how you prepare a recipe for an industrial kitchen. For if you've got cooks that want to go to your recipe book and take a look at things, and I could say, okay, go make this recipe. I need you to make Caesar salad dressing for 400 people. Then, Joe could go over and he could say, okay, well, this one makes 10, so I need to multiply it times 40, and I could multiply that if I wanted to. Or maybe I've got it in there for 400 people or 100 people. Okay, so that's basically how you put this whole thing together. Now that I've done that, I'm just going to pause, and I'm going to finish off my little screencast.